Thanks, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. So surface web is all the public. Deep web, we can say private, right? So here I so like say index web. This is unindexed web, right? So you will be getting your email, your e-banking, and then your ERP, right? Solutions, whatever, all private things that can be here. Even some of your Gmail stuff, sorry, some of your Facebook stuff also, like whenever you say private only or within the group, like it will not a public thing as well, like you have to specify that, right? Now, dark web is we call hidden services. This is where like most of the terrorists or like drug traffickers, they will be using, right? And so this is where like CIA or intelligence units like always keep on watch on this, right? So you will not be able to use normal browser. There is a browser called Tor browser. So with that you can access that. I would say like I would recommend not to be here without knowing as well, because you can have a lot of consequences. Like very recently, one of my student, like who was doing IT actually, has been there to the dark web to download, because a lot of people say you can download software here. It's all pirated copies, right? And some other things that you think you have to pay, right? You can get it here, but still, my recommendation, don't go there. That also, that person has gone there to download a software and he has used it in his computer. But what has happened is like with that, a ransomware software has come, right? And later on, his whole computer is being locked, right? Because when ransomware comes, basically it's almost impossible to rectify that unless you delete everything and put everything from the scratch, if you have a backup, right? But you will not be able to recover. So he was like doing a project actually. So he actually failed the project because he couldn't show everything, because his system is not working, because it's been locked, right? Because the ransomware is very, very dangerous. So it's where like, so don't trust people here, right? So you can get involved like so many things without knowing, right? So if you know what you are doing, that will be different story. But however, it's not a good place to go. So dark web is not what we are using, right? That will be, people say 5 to 10% maybe people are using, especially the bad guys will be using that, right? But deep web is not bad thing, right? It is a private, right, web. And then surface web is what normally what we call web. So all search engines will be indexing only the surface web. Any questions or any clarification? Okay, so this slide is not there with you all. I think just I added like, so again, to surface web, deep web, dark web, but same thing, right, which we had discussed, right? Just I want to add some, like someone asked like how big currently the internet, like these are like statistics, like as of March 2021, it says like there are 5 billion, right? 5 billion web pages, right? So that's where like, so it's a huge, right, space. And so these 5 billion pages also can be like websites, right? And then within site, like you will be having, so it says pages, but I'm not 100% sure. So probably this number might be World Wide Web, the index web contains at least 5.27 billion pages, right? But these statistics, like again, Google might have a different answer, right? Bing will have a different answer. That's why, like, so that no one is going to go and count that. It's almost impossible. So some estimates are there, right? So that's why, like, I will never ask in the exam, like, what is the size? But as long as you know, like, it's few billion, right? Web pages, websites are there, right? So that means there are lots of content, right? Because given a site also, like within that, there are so many individual pages about them, right? So that the collection is so big. Okay, so there's another thing, so which also still related to this discussion we are going on. So now we looked at the search engines and then look at two different types of web, right? The third type, I said, like we will ignore that for the time being, like the dark web, but the deep web and the surface web, and then indexing will be done only on the surface web. Now, I will try to give another small scenario here. So let's say, again, you make a request from this is a web server, right? Make a request and you get this reply. We know now HTTP, right? Through HTTP, you make a request, right? And then the reply comes as a web page, right? So this is content, right? HTML file, hypertext markup language, right? It's a file will be transferred to you, and then that is what you will be displaying in your computer, right? Here, right? Now, whenever you have a web page like this, right? So that is coming from the server, right? So if I just draw, this is like sort of hard disk. From there only this page is coming, right? This particular web page is coming from there. This page contains some information not shown when you are watching, like, so this is you, right? When you are watching here, will not be shown. So I will just put it in blue color. So whatever this thing, right? Or there will be another thing here. Let's say I will just mark two things. So now you can see when it is been shown here, right? That two blue things are not there. So some of which is not shown when you view the document from a browser. This is your browser. That's the client program. Okay. So then let's try to see what are those, like what are not being, like it is in the web page. This is the HTML page. Now, this page that you got is still there, right? But now if I draw it like you will think it. So I will just put it down, right? So this is there and this part is also there, but it will be not shown here when you are viewing. That is what we call, right? So let's see what are those. So now I clear this. Now, whenever you get a page, now just visualize, you just got a web page, like maybe University of Colombo, management faculty, or like just you watch now news like the weather report, like I don't know, Adadirana or Sirasa TV, whatever, right? So that particular page, just visualize that page. Always when a page comes, there is a title. Okay, so can anyone tell me where the title generally shows, like whenever you browse on your browser, right? Just now visualize, this is, you are seeing from your Chrome browser. Who can tell me where the title is being displayed? Or is there a title? Yeah.
So when we're searching the www, then slash, of course, we can see the what are the
Yeah,
things
each page will have a title name. That's why, like, whenever you get a tab here, just top of the tab, right? There will be a place where that's where the title will be shown, right? Next time, title. Whenever you watch, you can see a title, right? So that is not the web content actually. This is on top, like on the what do you call, the tab you get, right? On top of the tab, the title will be there. So sometimes this tab is what being used when you are bookmarking, when you are saving this title will be coming very effective because that is what is been saved with that particular URL of that, right? So title is part of your page, and yes, you can see that. So I will put a tick here. So that tick means like it will be shown to you, right? So that is, you are now browsing this, right? So now you can see it will be shown. Okay, then I will get another very important one, which is called a description. So I'll put a red one right here, description. So it's a very interesting topic title, like description. So there's a new term now coming. It's called metadata. So that data will be here. That is what I was just drawing earlier. So metadata means like data about the data. So we have data, that is the web data, right? So I will say, because of that I will say web data. So data about the web data, so that you have some data here. That is what you are trying to see now, right? Maybe the current weather conditions. So whenever you read that and everything, but there are some data inside this page which is not shown to you, right? That we call metadata, right? So that's what, if I ask what is meant by metadata, so that is data about this particular data which is being provided to you. Now, what is that? It's called a description. So description provides or provided by the document designer. Like, it's not like whoever website creator, right? Now it is in a web server, so that whoever who creates this web page has to put this description, right? And then description, this is frequently been the description of the document and shown on the document listing by the search engine. So this will be used by not you to see, but to search engines, right? For them to use it. This metadata is being used, right? So now who uses this? The search engines. So this particular thing is for search engine. So we'll look like what is going to do the search engine. And the third bullet, now I think it's very clear to you all. The keywords, that is also a kind of metadata, right? That is might be another box that I was just showing earlier. So that consists of list of keywords. Now you can see this is how the keywords are being picked up by the search engine, because you have to provide them, right? So by the designer, and then the search engine is used to identify the document. So these two are not viewable in the actual page. So you will be getting, not you will be seeing them, right? It will be in your web page, but it is not being displayed by the browser. So whenever a bot goes there and start reading, bot will write the keywords as well as the description. So finally, what you will be seeing is, other than the title, this body. So the body of the body will be there, right? So which will be shown. So body means whatever, always what you see. So basically, there are 4 components I can say on a web page, right? But title is there, but you can see that, but however, it is not as part of the main part of your content, but that is on the top of the tab that will be there. But this is what mostly you will be seeing the body. But these two are for search engines, keywords and the description.
Sir?
Yes.
So as example, just say, when we searching, just say marketing.
Yeah.
In the Google, so under the description, we cannot see that metadata.
Yeah. So there is kind of a description given in that page about marketing.
Okay.
This was like this type of marketing, and we are concentrating only the marketing there. That was like discussed up to 2020 only, right? So whatever those information are essence data for the search engines to start indexing. And also I will come today a discussion, I think the ranking also, right? To rank your web page, right, in the search result as well. So both, right? So it is used for indexing and also for ranking, right? Indexing and ranking. So both will be used this two metadata.
So visibly, sir, we cannot see it, no? The metadata.
Yes, you can see it. You will never see this.
But we are just typing in the Google and we are getting the final result.
Yes, you will always see the first and the fourth one, right? Whenever you go to when you get a web page, because when you go means like you go to a web server and you collect that page and it will be downloaded to a machine and then it will be displayed. When you are displaying, only 1 and 4 will be displayed to you.
Okay, sir, thank you.
2 and 4 is there on the page, but the browser is not showing. So then you will ask, like, who is going to use that? But a bot is going to the server to collect information. They will be reading that, right? So then number 2 and number 3 are being read by search engine crawler or a bot. So I just say here for bot, right? Crawler, bot, whatever. Now this page is not for exams, right? Just to tell, like, for you all, like, so this metadata is being supported by all the browsers, so that the metadata are there, like, but only thing is you can use that, but then they know how to render it, right? That will they will not display that. So if I say, like, this is how a metadata would look like, right? So this is a bit of a technical thing. So if you see a line like this, right? Because this is HTML, so this is called meta name equals, right? So description, and then content equals whatever, and then we have just close bracket, like scrolls. This is like tagging, right? That's we call hypertext markup language, right? And then if you have another term like keyword, right? Sorry, meta name, keyword, and content, some keyword. So this is where you can put keywords for that particular page. So now let's assume this is one page, let's say about you, right? So there are some description about you, right? Everything. But then this has to be indexed properly by the search engine. So then this particular two metadata has to be put in by the software developer or the website developer, right? One is a description about you, a small description, like a summary, right? So, and then the real keywords that are related to this, they have to give, right? So then only the search engine will be getting. So you will, like, whenever your friend is going to see your page, they will never see these two. Anyone has a this is like HTML code, like we say the source, right? So you can open anytime a web page, right? Just go to any web page, right? And then right mouse click and then say view source. You will really see the real code, that is the HTML code or the other PHP or Java based code, right? That is actually the markup language code. So if you might be able to see if they are available, right, on that page, these metadata. So then you can say a meta name, description, meta name, keywords might be there. So if it is not there now, okay, now this is where a good thing for you all to understand for decision making process as well. So like I just showed you this technical small part as well, and I told you, like, I will not ask in the exam as such write down how it looks like, but if you know that, it is good. Now, if we have not included, now this is your page, if you have not included these two, the search engine will not be able to index properly, right? So again, I'll take Jihan because because I can see his photo here, because he just asked the last question, right? So I have never seen him yet physically. So Jihan has created his page, very nice colors, like his lot of photos and everything about him is there. But then search engine will not index Jihan well, because Jihan had not provided that information to the search engine, right? So all Jihan's MBA students can go there because Jihan has shared his URL, right? So then those people can go there and they can see very nice page, right? Keep it up, right? But only thing, Jihan will not be able to get new customers or new people coming in, right? Looking at that page because it's very difficult to search this URL by unknown people. Even search engines are not be good enough to pick, because people have heard about, like some friends say, like Jihan has a nice page, you can go and have a look, but only thing they have just tried to put some keywords and try to get that URL, but however they were unsuccessful because it's not been indexed properly. So you can see now, rather than taking Jihan now, just think about your business, right? So you have given your IT department, or you have hired a website design and company, right, to develop your product. But now look and feel is very nice, but it's just, if they have not addressed these things well, so then you might not be able to index your page as well. So because of that, you might not be able to get more customers, like unknown customers to you, right? So these are the important things. Like, so this way, like let's take a small scenario. I'll just keep this slide, and I had a discussion with you all earlier with that what is that, you get paid 3,000 rupees, and then I just asked, like, who get that money, like when you have ADSL connection. So similarly, now for your company, right, you need a website to be designed. Okay, and then you have hired some guy, let's assume, right? So an IT guy, and ask him to do. So he has, let's say, like, say 100,000. He has agreed to charge, like to design that, right? So there are about, like, let's say 20 pages as such, like this, right? So 1 to 20, right? So then they said, okay, you said, okay, go ahead and do that, right? So we will pay you. But only thing is, like, so if you are the guy who is approving, authorizing, so I would say, like, okay, you can have a look on these 20 pages and see whether your business is there. And then they have done it very nice, because how it, like, how appealing the pages, how well he has used the colors and everything, right? So we say that you are in computing, we say human computer interaction, HCI or UX, right? A user experience, user interaction, right? So then you can look at it like how good, maybe you can judge that, because you might be happy. So then you can say that you have done a very good job. But of course, if you have not checked those things, right, and you've paid your whole money, but only thing is, that's like only known people, again, can come, like same story what Jihan had with his page, right? So that's what, like, going to be now more than the normal way of looking, like when a website was created, right? Because if this metadata are not being included, and you have to provide, because now the IT guy might not know, like, your business. And again, Jihan said about, like, so someone else that's about marketing, right? So like, let's say this whole thing, like your whole business. So you have to provide the keywords, right? You have to provide the description, how good, like you can describe your business, or like this particular page, this is the product 1, right? I would say product number 1, right? So this is product number 20, right? So then product number 20 should have that description with its related keywords. This product should have, so this each page should have this metadata, right? It's not like you can have common metadata, because each page is focused for something, right? So then if you have not done, if you just, your IT guy has copy paste this product details, keyword description, how about like he's copying all the other 19, right? For easy, right? He has done it, like maybe you all have not provided. Then what he did was, like, he got to know only one product, then he just copied that. But all of these will be indexed, and then people get upset, like, okay, this is not the right one, so we will never come to this particular URL, because all are wrong, bogus ones are there, and that can happen. So you can see, so that decision here, you have to make it quite well, right? Okay, so that's why, like, I just showed you a little bit of technical part as well, so that maybe next time, now after my lecture, you can try to go to your company.
I have a question.
Yes.
For example, when you search for a content like in Google, let's say XYZ, it's providing a lot of information in many pages. How it's indexing which order?
No, like now indexing in the sense, the bot will be going here, right? So that whatever web crawler will come to your site first of all. Let's say now it has reached you, right? So it's like this, whatever the current weather, like it's coming, reaching you. So once it reaches, let's say you have since I can draw here, just you had only 3 pages, right? Page number 1, page number 2, and page number 3. This is all your site, right? Just assume. So now the crawler will come to first page, right? I will now put a name here as well, because each file has a name. So this is like say pd product 1.html. This is like I'm making, right? So need not to be like this, right? So now it has come to this, right? Because actually the URL for this is whatever you are. Now we know we have discussed that, right? http:// right? Domain name, right? I'll just put it like that. And then the path. And then this pd1.html. So this is what now Google, the crawler here, just I put here crawler, right? The crawler has now got, okay, this is the URL. Now he has found that, but now he has to find related keywords. So now what he has to do is he has to come to this page and start reading from top to bottom and see whether he can find this metadata. If the metadata is there, so he will get this whatever in the within double quotes after content equals, this is what the keyword. So then he will put keyword 1, keyword 2, keyword 3. So whatever you have provided keywords that are related. So now the Google will index with these keywords, this URL. And then crawler will go to the second page, right? And then it's a different file name, right? It's a PD2, but then it might have so many different keywords. But let's say if you have copy paste the same thing, of course, it will read as it is because these are all machines, right? So then that's why like we have to be very careful. We have to do it well. And then the crawler will go to the third page and that's it. And then the crawler has finished indexing your site and then it will go to another site. It goes on like that. So then another 3 months, let's assume this is like I'm taking an arbitrary number. After 3 months, it will come because by that time you have done some changes. Then only the site will be reading your data again with the right. Maybe you have found out, no, these other keywords has to come or this keyword is not really appropriate. Now we are not selling that product because out of stock or whatever, right? And then you should update that. So then that update has to go to the search engine when the crawler comes to you next.
So it doesn't matter if you open a new website or a new web business.
Yeah, even existing one. So your current company, right? So I don't know whether just now, let's say you have a product, right, page, right? And then you can view source, right? And then see whether what sort of keywords are being used, right? So then the IT department guys might have done that, or you have hired a company. So now you can say, sorry, I think boss, like, or like whoever, right? And this is wrong because the keywords are what we have given is not really reflect to our business, right? So this is like just what do you call generic ones we have heard, but we have to give more specific ones. I will come to that discussion next. 1 or 2 slides will be coming, but since you asked that question, so that's why like you can provide now as well, right? Because they will think, okay, now this guy is like IT degree, right? You don't need an IT degree because you know like how this thing is happening. That is what I want you to teach you, right? And then you will push your IT department to the maximum end rather than taking a silly job, right? To do it well so that you will be present on this digital world well, because then only we can talk about this e-commerce, e-business well.
Thank you, sir.
You got the point?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, good. Yeah, please do ask like that and then try to clarify. So yeah, that is one thing, right? That is about indexing. Now, this particular question, Taufik just asked me, it is all about indexing part, right? But earlier I said, I think, do I still have that, whatever I wrote it? Okay, yeah, I said indexing one thing, because this metadata is being used for ranking as well, right? So let's talk about that as well, right? I hope now you all have got the point, like how this indexing is happening in the search engines, right? If you are even CEO is saying that, okay, well, you all are doing everything, but see, like we are not exist on the internet, like even whenever we search, you can't find it. So you can now see there is a problem with our metadata and how we have designed our pages, so that if you can redo it, probably in the next search engine comes to your indexing your pages, probably it will do well. Okay, then the next is how the ranking is being done, right? By the way, it's a very nice name is there. We call search engine optimization. I'm not going to teach you how to do that. Probably your IT department should know how to do that, right? But of course, as decision makers, you also should know something, right? So then you can push them again towards that end. Search engine optimization is now, I can ask that question. I think I was just earlier planning to have a quiz, but I couldn't create that. So now, okay, you can unmute and tell me. Now, let's say you are trying to use, this is from a search engine, you are trying to put these keyword, this someone said marketing and marketing, new trends in marketing. Okay. New trends in marketing. This is what you are going to search, right? So let's say this is your keywords that you have provided to a search engine. Right. So now you went to Google, you put new trends in marketing, and you know that there are thousands of results will be coming, right? I think if you put this, probably over 1 million might be coming, right? So when you do that, right? And you might have seen your results as well, right? So there some results are here. Then you will have page 1, page 2, page 3, right? It goes on like, and then you see that there are thousands of pages are being put here, right? All are content, all are, because you have provided keywords. Now the search engine is giving related URLs for that. Like you can see how big the database, right? So there are so many, right? So let's assume for simplicity, there are 1, 2, 3, up to 100, that's all. But I know it is very, very more than that, right? Just 100, because each page will have about 10 to 15, right? Depending on how you have organized and what do you call zooming level you have given to that page, right? How many you can put it into one page, right? So there will be in one page, let's assume there are 10 results, right? And then there are 100 pages. So that's sort of like 1,000 results. You got it. Now tell me, in this kind of a scenario, you are just type new trends in marketing on the Google, you got 100 pages and each page has 10 results. How many pages you will be going through to find, because you are finding some a URL, because someone has told this particular URL contains a lot of information. This is where like the marketing has to be done, right? You all should know, right? Now you are eager to find this, right? So tell me like, so here I think Taufik and then few others are always speak, right? But I want like others, like how many, like, okay, they also can tell me, right? I'm not asking not to talk to them, not to talk, but yeah, how many pages you normally, just give me your numbers, like out of this 100, like when you get this kind of a scenario, how many pages you go? 2, 3 people?
2 pages, maybe.
So Tariq, 2 pages?
5.
Okay, 5. I think Fatima is 5. Okay. Another one?
10 pages.
10. Who is that? Okay. Okay, that is Ahmed, right? Okay. 10 pages, right? Okay, good. Anyone else? Go beyond these numbers?
There are links that are shown in the first page, in the first display.
That's all. So very, very, I do say like you just believing on the Google and then say, okay, first page only gives me to my taste. By the way, so this is where like search engine optimization comes in, right? So how well you have provided information to the search engine. Now let's call Google, right? Because we are all using Google, right? And so it can be for Bing and others as well, right? So how well you have provided the information with metadata, your pages, right? So that he will be ranking your page very high so that Google will put in the first page results within that 10 results. Right? So then those only you will be getting. So the people who are going up to 2 pages, at least 20 can be, like up to 100, the person who said 10 pages you're going, because you might not go all 100 pages, right? But let's assume this particular answer is on the 57th page. But then you go and tell everywhere, yes, I put that, right? I couldn't find it. It's not, right? It's not on the internet. Like you are saying it's there, but no, you can't find it, because that is because you are lazy to go there, right? And go up to 57th page, right? And I'm not expecting everyone should do that, right? So that is what, so this is what the new normal human behavior. Now come to the other side of business now, like, because now you all are not, I'm not teaching you all to be a good internet surfer, right? Because that is not my part. You are doing business. Now think about your product. This is what this particular 1 million customers are trying to find you, right? New 1 million customers, right, are trying to find your product. But they are saying it's not there, right? They have got to know, like there was advertisement or something, but let's assume URL was not given, right? There's a TV advertisement or word of mouth, something has gone, right, about your nice product, or let's say like which relates to this COVID, right? A new face mask or whatever. But it is always coming on the 57th or the 70th page, right? That is what we have seen. So that means your IT department has not done that particular page, that marketing page that we are talking, right? Let's say mask 1.html, right? Just my own name, right? So this page is not being done well. That is why it's not coming. Because at least if you are on the 10th page, we have some customers coming, because there are, even in this class, there are people who are going up to 10th page, right? But let's say if you can go up here, the 5th page, so that might be the case. So now, yes, just Jan.
So that means basically based on the metadata, how we include in the our web.
Yeah, yes, this, yeah, metadata, how well and how good you give as well.
Yeah,
just some metadata will not work, right?
That means the buyer or the searcher decisions will be changed based on that one, isn't it?
Yeah, because if you get a new URL as a new customer, like this 1 million customers, right? So this page, he will reach you and maybe do a transaction later on. Right? Your point is, how should I come in the ranking in the first page? Because there's one person said, I just took it only first page. So you have to target very hard to get her, right? The customer, right? But that's what, like, your IT department has to work in hand with your the product team, the marketing team, because they have to provide you all the information as well. Because don't say that IT department is not doing the job, because they are doing the IT part. But of course, here, not only IT, to provide the correct description, provide the correct keywords, and then make it uniform within that, right? So then only the ranking will be done proper. And then you might be able to come on the first few pages.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's why, like, okay, I just clear this now, because there are a few things. I am not going to go through a SEO, like, okay, this slide also, I just put it for you to understand, but you should not need to understand each of these components here, because yes,
small things, sir. Can you explain the traffic?
Yeah, that's right. So here there are so many things, like if I take to discuss about all these things, even I'm also not a very fluent person on the SEO, right? But there are so many things to discuss, like backlink, web analysis, traffic, content, ranking, because all together is what we call search engine, right? For the time being, what I'm saying, I'm trying to highlight with you all is a little bit on the ranking side, right? So, but however, so now you are a decision maker, right? You can look at it, your IT department staff, right? First of all, see whether they have any SEO certification or have they done any courses, right? If not, I think you have to send them, right? SEO some courses, right? There are Coursera courses, there are workshops, right? So there are so many things, and make them understand, because they should know that there are a lot of tools, right, to do this. Some are free, some you have to buy them, right? So then they might say that, sir, we have to buy these things, then you have to enable them, because then only they can provide you like the expected results. Okay, so that's where like you as a decision maker should know all these things. If not, we can say like we don't need search engine, just do a web page, right, and make it nice. That's all that I want, right, and then I will pay you a salary. But then that is not what you should be getting at this point. Okay, so yeah, so I will not discuss each of these because it's going to be more technical as well. But if you all are interested, you can also, like I just highlighting only two things here, the keyword and the ranking, right, to give a little bit insight onto this, right. But however, I would say like you should enable your IT department to understand this and use it to the maximum. Okay. Now I will tell, this slide is also not full thing, right? This is to keep, just to give you some meaning, right? So when Google is ranking, right? This is not exactly Google, there are so many things, right? So like it's another whole course can be done, right? How Google ranking web pages, that's like on SEO. Just I will tell you like 4 things so that you all can start thinking, right? So Google says order of the keyword term appears. What is that? Keyword term that appears sooner on the document listing or index tend to be ranked higher. So that means if a keyword appears sooner, right, and then also like now Google is that's where like AI comes in. Like now you will understand. So now you can see here, given this page, there are a lot of your normal content, and then I have this. I put MD here, metadata. I say here keywords, right? Keyword, then you have to put, and then there can be more content, and then you have metadata, description, right? Description, right? It's okay, you can understand now. Description, and then add a little bit more, and then more content. Today, Google not only read the keywords, and then it searches through this content and see like how much for each keyword. Like this is where like AI is coming now, right? How much this particular page talks about that keyword, right? Whether it's have any relevance on that, whether they have just put to get some marketing mileage, they have put those keywords. So that Google is doing that as well, right? So that's kind of intelligent now, right? Because these AI web crawlers are doing all these things, and then they compare keywords, the description with the content, right? So that's where like you can see the second and third ones. The frequency of keyword term, the keyword term, the keywords that appear multiple times in the document itself, it tends to index because you have a keyword here, and then so many times you have referred that, right, on that text, right? So then it is indexed higher. Occurrence of the keyword in the title. Okay, now you can see the importance of the title. Keyword that appear in the document's title or perhaps meta tag description have a more weighting. Right? So you define a keyword, you have put those keywords with that on the description, you put in the title, right? Because the bot is reading all these things and the content, right? So just not only very elementary looking at the keywords and it generates a keyword map, right? Because that is where like some people say that, okay, just put some keyword because now you can do that. If that is the case, like tomorrow you can go because you know the code here, what I have showed you, like you can say just put meta name, right, keywords, and then put the keywords, you are there, right? It's just not, this is an art, right? This is not only technical stuff, right? Because it's just like writing a nice article on a newspaper. That's where like people tend to read that, right? And then you should try to use rare, less frequent keywords as well. Then you will be indexed higher because that keyword has less hits, right, than others, like because there are so many mappings, because like you now others are also doing, right? So now your business, you are trying your best. Similarly, your competitors also doing that, right? Because of that, it's a continuing job, right? So it's just no sense, okay, we hired a company and we optimize it. Now we are there, and for next 3 years, we are quite all right. It's really not, right? Because your other competitor might have come better than you, and then you have gone down, right, on the listing. So that's where like this is a continuing process. So you should understand that. Then only you can take the advantage, right? So today, a lot of people do have an IT department. I would say, like, especially in some even banks and things like that, So they are supposed to do like day-to-day troubleshooting, right? Putting some hardware and connecting them and making the operating system working, but not into that day-to-day like business related stuff, because they are not really keen on that, because people not pushing them, right? That's where like you have to be, right? So this is just, don't go and say this is there how Google is ranking. This is just, I took just 4 occurrences just to keep one slide, right? But there are a whole lot of things are there how ranking will be done, right? So that's a separate art. Okay, so now you will ask like, okay, this is one such free tool, right? Under web.dev, right? This is like, you can see that top level domain is called dev, right? So that always you are used to com and other things, so that you can go to this URL. And you can give your own URL here. So they will ask, right? I have not shown that. So this is actually 2 banks in Sri Lanka, right? Bank 1 and Bank 2. I will just, I remove their names here, right? Just not to show here, but then you can see this is a big report it comes, but these are free tools, by the way, right? But there are very good tools like you to pay and get them, so that your IT department get more knowledge, more information, what to do, and there are a lot of recommendations comes as well. So here, this particular tool looks at the performance, how good your performance of the web page, accessibility, best practices, there are definition, and then SEO, search engine optimization, right? So you can see now Bank 1 and Bank 2, right? And then performance-wise, one bank is better than the other. Bank 2 is better. Bank 2 is again better with accessibility. Bank 2 is very good at best practices as well. But SEO-wise, the Bank 1 is better, right? So that's why like performance, they will tell what, where, and what. Like that. So if you just go to this URL and put your company's right URL, and then get these details, right? And then put your competitors. Is there a competitor company in Sri Lanka overseas? Just put that as well, and then compare that, right? And then see where you are. Or else what you can do is just put well-known company like HSBC, right? This is not HSBC, right? So HSBC or like CNN, right? Or some well-known website like very popular, right? So then you can see what their numbers and what your company is, right? And then you can make at least rough decisions on that, right? So then you can ask your IT department and go and explain me, do a presentation, right, on this point, like what we should be focusing on, right? So this is more into the ranking. Some of these things also will be used for ranking, right, by the search engine. And then you can say, okay, let's maybe focus on Google and then try to optimize our website. Okay, so there are lots of things you can do, right? That is what I'm just giving you. So you don't need to be having an IT degree to do those things. That's what you have to hire IT guys, right? But you should know how to manage them and get the maximum use. That is what my discussion here with you. Yeah, any questions on that? Or all right. And one final thing, yeah, this SEO and the search engine is very important, right? So search engines, like how search engine works, right? It's very, very important. A lot of people, that is very important for you to do like your own as a user, right? Not from the business point of view. But SEO is very important from business point of view, but not from end users point of view, because you are not really bothered of, because you don't have content. You are consumer, right? But when you have content only, SEO is going to be very, very important. One other thing, like sometimes people ask cookies as well. So what are these cookies as well? So let's have a quick discussion on that. And with that, I can finish it off like internet and the web. Now, for example, throughout we discussed now, this is your web browser. It's a client program. And then we have the web server. And we make a request. And then we get the reply. with the reply, we know that the page, HTML page is coming, right? Now we know there are metadata inside that and all sort of things we have discussed, right? Now this person has requested some page, right? Let's say I'll call that is page number 1 has got it, right? So then after 10 minutes, right, he makes another request. So this is after 10 minutes. So then there will be another page will be coming. That is, I would say, page number 2. But the server does not know, okay, this is the same guy who requested earlier, right? Another page, like maybe he's asking the same page, right, as page 2, right? So, however, they are that sort of information is not kept by the server. Like this is how web works. When you make a request, it just does the process here, and then it takes the page, whatever, just gives it and closes its hand. That's what, like finish it off, right? There's nothing. So beyond that, there won't be anything, right? That's what we call web is a stateless protocol. Right? It's a stateless. No state is being maintained. When you go the 10 minutes time or 10 seconds later, right? Still it's a new request for the server. Right? So now people, like especially certain transactions when you are doing, especially like in business transactions, it required some sort of statefulness, right? Statefulness is required because you did a transaction, there's a credit card number you put in, next you have to put that CSV number, and you know, like, so you have to keep on contact with this customer, right? Rather than having like each request is individual, right? Because he might be not putting all in once, right? One by one, right? So because of that, we have to have some sort of statefulness. This is really required, not for web browsing, right? That's why like from your server side, you might require, that is your business point of view. So when you're doing transactions, that's why like some internet banking says that, okay, you have to enable cookies in order to do transactions, because then like it can do the transactions well. And then that is how it's been designed, the systems as well. So statefulness is being maintained by the use of cookies. So the browser does not maintain any connection, right? But you may never come back. That's what like it always thinks. But then the browser state can be stored in a cookie, right? So something like you can store the state here, what sort of work you did and when did you last log in and all this information, so that the server states are being called sessions. The session details will be stored here, right, as state, right? The session ID, right, will be stored by the server on the client. Okay, that is what a cookie is. Okay, so let's see, like there's a small demo here, like a picture here. So it's like you make a request, right? So actually not cookies are requesting, you are requesting a page, right? This is a request, just assume, right? Because these cookies are coming later, right? So there's just assume no cookies here, right? So then you make a request. Then when the answer is given, a cookie also been placed there. So this is that cookie, this particular cookie, right? So likewise, you might be having so many other cookies, right? So each server give its own cookies, so their own cookies, right? So server 2 gives separate set of cookies, server 3 gives separate set of cookies, and then cookies cannot be exchanged, right? Just like normal cookies, like if Maliban, it's Maliban cookies, and then Munchie cookies, you can't have both, like Maliban can't access Munchie cookies and Munchie can't access Maliban cookies, just an example, right? So similarly in the web servers, that's how it. So then whenever next time when you are making request, you will be using these cookies, and then with the cookie only now your next request goes. With another cookie, you goes request. That's why like, so then he knows, okay, this is what I have stored. Like now with that, he can get some more information. This is what he did in the previous step. This is what he did in the previous step. Like that, you can keep with the cookies. That's how, like, after the first step onwards, like once the cookies have been stored, can be used. So technically, cookies are arbitrary piece of data, right? Arbitrary piece of data that it has some data here, right? The cookies will be having data chosen by the web server and sent to the browser, right? So remember, it is stored at the browser. The browser returns them unchanged. The browser is not going to do anything. You just give it, right? You even don't look at it because you just give the cookie back to the server. The server will handle it, right? That's where, like, cookies will go with our request. Our browser knows how to send that, right? You don't even touch the cookie. You don't go and have a look, right? As a user, and you will be here as well now. So the browser returns the unchanged to the server, that cookies, introducing your state or the session ID, whatever, right? So memory of the previous event, right? Whatever. So without cookies, each retrieval of the web page or the components of the page are isolated events, right? So we can make it some sort of statefulness by the use of cookies. So cookies take the stateless web and allow the server to store the breadcrumbs, right, on each browser. So session IDs are large random numbers, and when you really open a cookie, that you will see big numbers stored on the cookie and used to maintain a session on the server for each of the browser connection of the server. The server software stores the sessions. So server software stores the session somewhere. That is, each time a request comes back in, the right session is retrieved based on the cookie because you are providing that information. So server use this session as a scratch space, right? For little things, and then that it can do. So that there was a saying, like, when you use the internet, you leave something behind, small piece of information about the site you have visited. And that is what a cookie will be having at the client side, right? This cookie, right? But that belongs to a server. Server is know how to use that. These tidbits, right, of information are called cookies. And while they may sound delicious, they can also actually be quite dangerous, right? That's why, like, people always ask, like, that's what I put just it. Some people say, like, cookies are good or bad, right? So now, if I ask from you all that question, is cookies bad? Because cookies are designed to keep the state. So it will be stored at the client, right? So I'll just throw that. So now you can, is cookies bad? Like, because sometimes people do ask that, right? This is the server. Actually, so I'll just draw cookie with the yellow color. So this is a cookie. So that created by the server, right? And that will be later on, like with the request. I'll just do another color so that I don't show the request here. This okay, request is that with the reply, the page is coming. So this is what you are getting. With that, you will be getting this key as well. And now this goes to your browser, and you see that this goes and stores in your hard disk. Stored at the client machine. And later you will be giving that as a cookie to give previous session. Okay. So this is that story. So now anyone has any questions or queries regarding cookies, you can ask. right? Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that is. Yeah. Anyone has heard about like cookies are bad, or like here also I just said dangerous, like I use that word, right?
So does cookies allows to offline content when you search for?
Sorry, cookies allow?
When we search for offline, it will redirect to the correct website or?
No. Like whenever we next time request only, the cookie will go with that request, right?
It doesn't work for offline.
No. It's not for offline. Yeah, very good question. It's not right. But then a cookie is being created by them, and then I should just used by the server as well. Used by the, I will say that right term. Used by the right server. Right in the correct server. Right. Right server means now if this is like say cookie 1 C1, this is let's say server 1, right? There was another server here called server 2. It also had a cookie that is called C2 cookie, but this C1 cookie will never go to C2 server. If it goes also, there's no point, like it can understand. It can't understand, right? But that's only server who created those. That's what I said here, right? Correct cookie. So it's a very simple thing. Like I think you all can disable. Some of you all might have disabled. Is there anyone who has disabled cookies? Yes, no? You don't know what's going on your browser. You can check, right? Okay. Again, I would say like you will watch a video how to enable cookies, how to disable cookies on Chrome or Firefox or whatever. So then you can find, right? And that's very simple steps, right? Yes, you can, if you want, you can disable cookies, right? Or sometimes some applications, some web servers say you have to enable, right? Because for them to do the other operations, it requires. Now this dangerous part comes because there's an argument that because server writes a content, right, and saved it in your machine, right? So then if this is a bad server, it can save even sort of like a virus. Let's assume this is like a story, like I can say, right? This is not the real scenario, right? But there can be an argument, because always like we do give room for such argument, right? So then you can say this is S1 is a bad server. Bad server will give with the page a cookie. The cookie might contain a virus, and later on it will be executed, because that can be an exe file as well, and then you will be get infected, right? That's so because of that we should disable, right, cookies. Okay, so that argument can be, right? But however, in I would say innocent, right, good servers will not do that, right? So then basically enabling cookies won't have a huge harm. But if you all have some doubts about it, what you can do is you can disable the cookies, and then whenever a server wants, it always on the page, like whenever you browse, it just puts a message, cookies are disabled, please enable that. To enable, you don't need to go through a huge process, because it will give a button here and say enable. So then if you know the site which you have been, that's what like my innocent good server, you can say, okay, I will enable that. So then maybe once you finish that, probably you can go back and then disable it, right? So that is the thing you can do, right? Because some of the servers, some of the web servers will not work without enabling cookies. So this is like cookies are to keep the state, not to do any virus thing, but there is an argument. So that's what I just discussed that argument, right? That with that argument, so that you can take some precautionary measures, right? That is not bad. But if you are just enabling cookies, that will be all right. I hope you got what the cookies are and what their role is all about, whether they are really dangerous or not. That's also a good thing to look into. Yeah, I think with that, I will end our discussion on internet and web. I think we look at very much detail, and also from decision-making process, like, and we know that these are two different things. They are not same, right? And now, if you have any questions on internet or web, which I have not discussed with you, you can ask, right? Now let's move to, still we are on the internet, right? Because I am trying to discuss about the cloud computing, and with that we will complete this discussion, right? Okay, so there's no questions, so we'll move. In this slide, don't worry too much. This is just what I'm saying here is, this is a simple computer PC, right? This is your laptop, PC, your laptop, whatever. You have a hardware. Then you would have an operating system like Windows 10. I'll talk about this software today, right? After finishing this cloud computing part. And then your applications, right? Whatever your MS Office, right? You do task with that, right? You can do various things. So this is where like end user will be using. So this is what like you require hardware, because hardware can't operate by themselves. We need an operating system to control that. Then the application software via the OS can do the work for you with the hardware, right? So that's what a typical computer is. Like if I just draw the computer in another pictorial way, so it just looks like same, right? You have hardware, you have the OS, and then you can have not only one application, you can have several applications running. So you are running MS Office, you can running the VLC player and doing something else as well, right? So what you can do. So this is a standard thing, right? So then people looked at it in a different way, right? Now there are different eras that we had, right? So those days we had huge mainframe computers. And then we used some dumb terminals and trying to get. And later on, they created a mini frame computers, but then again, they had some sort of terminals, but these terminals are not really dumb terminals. They also can do, and then you can connect with this another computer and do something, right? But finally, we got this PC, like personal computer, right? So then this disappeared, right? So no longer exist, right? Today, huge mainframes and mini computers, we have PCs. But then what we discussed today, what people did was they just combined several PCs and connect them together, they networked it. Right? With that only internet and everything came as well, but just if you're saying that sharing resources, that's how like people were running in the recent past, right? Networked environment, right? So then you can do a lot of things as well. So now we have moved from that also to a different environment. We just moved, and then this is not really cloud, right? So cloud, we have to come after that. So this is before cloud. So now you can see hardware is there. I would say this is a high-end server. This is not a typical, so there may be not only one CPU, maybe 3-4 processors. This is just not like 8 GB RAM. This can be like 80 GB RAM, right? So this can be not like 2 terabytes of hard disk. This can be 100 terabytes of hard disk. You can see this is a huge, like high-end, right? And then you can put again operating systems, right? And applications, and you can make it to work, right? And of course, you have to like give like many users, not only one user. So here we have one user. So here we can give to many users, right? And that is what we call virtualization, right? So after network computing, people started coming up, sort of like someone can say, is it the mode like we are like to go like high-end machine like mainframe either? Can be, because this like we are trying to see whether we can have a very high-end and we can share actually. That's what like sharing here is sharing resources. Early network computing also we are doing sharing resources, but this time we are trying to share this hard disk, the CPU, the RAM, everything, right? So if I just draw the same pictorial thing, so I just clear this. It's like this, we have the hardware, normal hardware, and now we have the OS and application, OS and an application, OS and application, right? So here, however, one user. You can have multiple things, but one user. Here, these are multiple users. And this particular one is we call virtual machine. Write it here. Virtual machine. So we shorten, we call VM, right? So these are all VMs we can create here. Okay. So those VMs can give us more users to use, share the resources here. But then to do that, we need this kind of a software tool that is we call hypervisor. Right? So hypervisor is to provide virtualization. You need, because when several people are sharing this hardware, right? How to handle that is being done with the hypervisor, right? So now we have a new hypervisors are expensive, by the way, right? So it's like a software thing. This is a software, right? You can have hardware virtualization as well, but mostly we do software-based virtualization like this. And then these are like different machines. So this can be like even increased to not 3, can be 10, can be 100, or like we can make it even 1,000 by making this hardware bigger and bigger, right? So that is what my next definition. So when you do the virtualization in a massive scale, that is what we call a cloud, right? So nothing but a cloud is a massive virtualization. More number of hardware networking together, right? And we can provide this. So mostly now we had internet service providers. Today they also have converted themselves as cloud service providers now. CSPs now. ISPs have become cloud service provider because today ISPs are the most easiest group for them to create cloud, becoming a cloud service provider, because they already have a big infrastructure. So this can be done. So then these will be used by so many users. So these are we call different virtual machines. Okay. So here we have sharing resources. Some people call pooling of resources, right? That will be happening. So cloud computing is a general term used to describe a new class of network-based computing, and also it uses internet. Okay, now that part I didn't tell, right? Now, if I go back here also, like, okay, no, I will take a white screen and explain that. Well, that is also, oh, I took a black screen. It's like this. Now let's take a few users, right? These are 3 users. Let's say he is in Kandy, Jaffna, and Gaul. Okay. Now, these are some people working under you, right? Generally, you have to provide, they are coming from this now because of COVID. That's why, like, so if not like they will be coming to your office. This is your office, right? And then you have to provide them a PC, right? Or a laptop, right? Whatever, right? Because this guy is doing a lot of graphics works, right? So then you have to give a bit of a high-end processor because to do graphics. This guy works with ERP solution. So because that ERP software to run, you have to have a good computer or a good laptop. So this guy is just doing only marketing, right? So then a standard laptop will be enough for him, right? So that's why like the requirement, right? So today now, because of COVID, like you all are moved, right? So like they can't come here. So that is also another problem. Like if you had like big computers here, so they have to carry that to home and then do it work, right? But what you can do is instead of giving them computers, you can ask CSP, Cloud Service Provider, to provide VMs, 3 VMs for them. Okay, so those are those VMs. And as I told you, this is a bit of a high-end VM because it's due to the graphics. This is also a bit of a high-end VM because he has to do ERP, but this is just a normal VM because that's just a PC, right? So now you can see we can get the machines on the cloud. Now they are at, let's say, in one location, right? So let's say in Colombo for the time being, right? Can be USA as well, right? But now you can see these people have to connect, right? So then you need internet. Without internet, you can't connect. So you need internet, but that is also not enough because how can you connect to the cloud? So each of these people should have a connecting device. So that can be probably a small tab, right, or phone, right, or even a small laptop also can be. And you have, so you have to have 3 devices other than buying also. So this is with the connectivity, right? So that they can either through Wi-Fi or WiMAX or some other technology with that device, right? So that's what, so remember always each end user should have to have a connecting device. Without that, there's no cloud we can talk about, right? But the servers, whatever the high-end machines are at the cloud. So this is what, so then internet plays the major role, connectivity. So now they will be working from home, right? Now we have work from home very effectively. And then you don't need to buy these PCs, anything, right? Because they will be getting it from the cloud service provider, right? Of course, you can close down now your company, right? Because still your business is running because they are working from home. So that advantage is there. But however, yes, internet is a key here. Without internet, you won't be able to connect. That's what I said. It's takes place over the internet. Cloud computing model for enabling convenient, on-demand, shared pool of resources. And then you can do rapid provisioning. Let's say like in that, okay, I can go there because it's a whiteboard, like white screen I have cleaned up. Now you are a startup and you had a requirement of 10 people initially, right, for that business. So you had purchased 10 laptops or 10 computers from the CSP. But now after May, because of this COVID and lockdowns, everything, this has to be reduced to 2. Right? But from hardware point of view, if you have purchased 10 computers, it will be there, right? Because you can't sell it back, right? Or you just, but if this here, you can, this is on demand, like you can say now, I don't want next month, month of June, I need only 2 VMs, right? So then you will be charged accordingly, right? So it's very easy, convenient, and also like you can rapidly provision. So later on by December, now your business is going very well. You need 100 computers. Like you can ask now, I need 100. You just no time to go and buy laptops and give this 100 people. You can get VS, but of course you have to have some connecting device you have to always remember. So cloud gives us a lot of advantages, right? And then it has different service models. We'll discuss that. And then different deployment models, right? So then with that, we can discuss how cloud operates, right? And we'll get some good understanding. So cloud is always on, right? Anywhere, anytime, a device. And it's elastic. That's what like you can have to pay as you want and scale up and scale down the way you want, right? So that's all these things are coming as a lot of advantages. So then who can use? Anyone, right? There are different types of cloud. That's like I said, there are different deployment models, right? And so with that, we can see, right? So here, don't think this cloud is only for very high-end people or people who have a lot of money. It's really not, right? Anyone can use, any startup, you can use cloud. Yeah, this is just why cloud computing. I have just took another slide from the internet. Like there are lots of slides you can get. So I can say 24/7 support, like utility base, and then frees up your internal resources. It can lower TCO or like, and then secure management. Those things are lower capital expenditures. So all these things are there, right? That you can always get as an advantage, right? So you can add more and more here as well, right? Now let's try to see this cloud service model before deploying, right? These are service models, what we call. Now, first of all, I will tell you, because that is very important to understand. Now, a computer to work, just don't think like huge thing, right? Just think of your PC, right? To do some work. So you need hardware, right? So then hardware, on top of that, you have to get software, like this is we call operating system. Because this hardware will work with the operating system. That is where like it's proper, right? And then only you can talk about whatever applications you want to do, right? So let's take some example. You want to have a ERP solution. Let's say take a bit of a bigger one, ERP. So then you have to purchase ERP software, but then you have to place it on a computer, right? Don't think of cloud now, right? So you have to buy a hardware. So this is, let's say, kind of a high-end server you have purchased. And then let's say this is running on Windows Server, right? Windows Server. Right. So now, now we can put this ERP on that and get the Windows Server and make it working, right? So this is how we do. Now we use different terms here. There is a term that we use, infrastructure. Infrastructure always refers to hardware, right? Then we have platform. Platform is hardware and operating system that together, right? So that's like, just don't think only the operating system, together, right? Because you can't just put operating system, put where, right? You can't buy only operating system from a cloud service provider. You have to buy with the hardware, right? So this is one model. Then the second model is together, right? So I will just platform. It looks like this. Okay. And then the third type is we call software, right? And then the software is all three. Okay. So then if you are taking only hardware, we say infrastructure as a service, that is IaaS. Like some people used to write like this as well, with capital, right? IaaS, or like this way. And whenever you want to buy not only hardware, hardware with operating system, which usable hardware, I would say, So then it's a platform as a service. And then if you want to buy the ERP solution as cloud, that is we call software as a solution. Right? So that's what, like, if you say that I got ERP software as a solution, that means you purchase hardware, you purchase operating system, and you purchase ERP application software. Okay. So just like, for example, someone can say, we are using O365. Right? So then this is, let's say, Office 365. So then Office 365, where is been installed? It's installed on a hardware. It is running on some operating system, Windows operating system. And then only the Office 365 is running. So that you purchase everything, right? So what you need is, as I told you earlier, so that is O365 is on a CSP, cloud service provider. It's this one. But this is you. You need a connecting device, a small tab. And then you connect through the internet to that virtual machine, right? So this is where the connectivity. So that's how we do, right? And then you have on this machine O365, right? Or cloud-based ERP, a cloud-based payroll system. You just name it. If it is a platform only, what you will get is not a application software. You get a computer with operating system. So then you have to put, let's say you have purchased a SAP solution from a SAP partner, right? And you have 3-year license, just assume. So then what you can do is, you should not go for software as a solution. You have to get a platform and just put whatever the purchase SAP on top of that. Right? That's how you have to do. So you have to go and say, CSP, I want a platform as a service from you. And they will ask which platform you want, with the Windows platform, Unix platform, Linux platform, whatever. Then you have to check with the SAP requirement. It says we need, let's say, Windows platform. Let's say I need Windows whatever server, this platform. They will charge you for that. But then SAP you can install, and later on with your connecting device, you can, or several people can connect to this and use that. Is that clear? So now if I clear this, now you can see is infrastructure as a service, you get hardware only. Platform as a service, we say, yeah, developer platform, sort of like we call developer platform, but need not to be developer, but even you can use it like a user platform also can be, right? Here developer platform means, like, for example, let's say I want to develop a system for one of you all, and then what I can go to a service provider and say, I need a platform as a, because I'm just a developer programmer. So I can get a operating system with, I can install some on that, some Java program, whatever, and then I can start writing my Java program, because then I have to pay only for platform as a service, because higher the rank here, you have to pay more the thing, because you are getting hardware, operating system, and the application software. So these are some examples, right? So if you go for infrastructure as a service, so GoGrid, Rackspace is very, very popular, right? You can go and buy hardware. These days, there are some people, now they don't buy hardware at all, right? Because every 3 years you have to change. If some hardware fault comes, you have to have a hardware team, right? So there are all lot of headaches are coming, but now just you can buy it from a cloud service provider, right? So then it's all like you have to pay for that, and then you can scale it up and down as well very easily, right? So if you have a very dynamic staff and then requirements for that your business, that is another good example, because rather than investing a lot. In platform as a service, like you can take like Windows Azure platform or Salesforce or like Google platforms are there for platform as a service. And then application level, like this is software as a service, just O365, even your Gmail, it's here, because where's your mail are being stored? not in your computer. You just use your computer to log in there. There are ways that you can download them to your computer, but let's assume just you are using a tab or your laptop, or go to office or go to your friend's computer and access Gmail, because all Gmail, it's saved in a hard disk at Google, and it provides that the hard disk cannot be given to you, right? It has to be operated, and then operating systems, everything is there, right? That's why, like, to get Gmail, just from the bottom hardware, right, up here, it has to be provided. So that is what you will be paying. Actually, at the moment, it's free, right? So that it should be, if it is a paid service, because it has to be charged for hardware as well as operating system as well as its application software. That's all three, right? That is what it is there. For some reason, Google is giving us free, so that you have to think why it is giving free as well. But however, it is giving free. That's the examples I showed in the previous slide, all the overseas products, because I want to have Sri Lankan products separately, right? So that SLT has Akasa, right, a product. So you can go there and have a look. You can see here IAS, SAS, right, PAS, and then a few other things as well. So that they have created. And then Dialog has Cumulus, that is their name of the cloud. So they have IAS, PAS, SAS. So you can go and buy cloud service from those Sri Lankan. These are now ISPs becomes CSPs. Okay. There can be another one or two, like cloud service providers in Sri Lanka, right? But not in a heavy scale like these two, right? And then others, Rackspace, Amazon, you name it, even Google, right? So all are providing spaces, right? Cloud services. Yeah, so this slide, I took it from a US NIST, National Institute for Science and Technology. So just I went there because this is their definition of a cloud. So I hope now you can understand. Cloud, the essential characteristics: resource pooling, on-demand, measured services, rapid elasticity. So broad network access also there. But then you can get more and more, right, advantages of cloud, right? And then service models are infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. So even there are some, now there are a lot of as a service, right? AAS are there, right? Some have DAAS, desktop as a service. So basically a whole desktop can be get it as a service, not only a computer, right? So then that is your desktop. So basically from wherever you connect, your desktop will be there, right? So that you need just your phone or your tab, or just go to some other computer, right? Go to a internet cafe and access from there. Basically you are accessing your desktop, right? So this is the only thing I have not discussed with you. The deployment models. Now, what I have discussed so far are called public, right? Public cloud. But if someone is concerned, because I never, like, no one asked about like any disadvantage. Who can tell me any disadvantages of cloud? Going in the wrong direction. Yeah. I have asked in the exam as well.
Maybe security issues, sir.
Yeah, that's right. Disadvantages of cloud. It's not in the note, right? So yeah, one, security. Anything else? First we'll talk about, and then I'll come there. What else do you think?
Our personal details, other one can access. Is another security?
More, yeah, more into security, yeah.
Security.
Anything else? You always have to have internet, because without that you can't log into the CSP or connect to the CSP, right? So internet. Anything else?
The cost.
Yeah, cost. Yesterday also, like other day also, like they said cost, like of course you have to that this you are to look into, right, Chatura, because cost, I would say, like, okay, if I ask you write down 3 in the exam, if you write cost, I will take it the right answer. But here in the discussion, I would say, like, because it's comparable, because okay, where now you have to buy a computer, right? This is like, so instead of computer, now we are going to get it from a VM, right? From a CSP, right? So there is a cost for your computer as well, right? Then there is a cost for this as well. Of course, when you have it here, someone can say, yeah, I don't have to pay for internet because it's with me, right? Let's say this is a laptop, right? So that's with you, but of course, you can't access the internet, you have to pay separately, but that is both same. But now you don't need to pay for this particular internet in order to connect to that VM as well, right? So it's like, so you can combine those two. But then if the VM cost is much lower than, right, for 3 years, like if you have to look at, so this investment, like I have paid 150,000 for the laptop, right? For 3 years, it's just like 50,000 per year, right? Am I paying more than that for the cloud? Right? If that's the case, there's a cost. If you're paying less than that, right? So then you are making money, you are saving money as well. So this cost can be depending on what the VMs and what the costs that they are providing as well. For example, let's say, so like some can be free, like the Gmail. Gmail is only for emails, right? But then if you just, your business is only with emails, right? It's just, you are kind of a lawyer, right? So you just, okay, you need to type letters, then you need MS Office as well. But rest of the things you all communicate with through email, right? That's what like your business. So then you have to buy a computer and then connectivity and internet. And then of course you have to have an email server. Let's say you don't have any other mail service provider. So you have to have an email server and then do everything. But now you can do that on a cloud with the Gmail, and of course it's free of charge. Like today, no one trying to have their own mail server. Even big companies now move to Google, right? Because that's a huge cost saving for them, right? But of course, yes, Google one day will start charging. So then, of course, then there will be cost will be coming up. But yeah, this cost is not straight away an expense, right? Sometimes it can be a saving as well.
So capacity?
Yeah, sorry, capacity. What do you mean?
Advantages, the whatever the allocation under the cloud, is the capacity that
Yeah, okay, capacity, yes, you might be having 2 terabytes of hard disk here, but now you have purchased only 500 GB because of the cost, right? Right, so then yes, then you have to make it to 2 terabytes. You have to pay like your monthly subscription, a significant number. Like then there's a capacity for that. Also, there's a cost. Ultimately, it comes here, cost related. But then if they are giving very cheap, dirt cheap, right? So then that's where like you might not be able to put that into normal. Like, okay, let's check. Anyone can remember like Gmail? They are giving 30 TB or 20 TB for some, like anyone is purchasing and paying like, if you look that space, that rate that they are providing, right? That is only for email, that's okay, right? But then if you have to buy a hard disk and put it into a computer, sometimes that cost might be expensive. That's where like, so through cloud service, what we can get is we can get the advantage because of resource pooling, right? So those CSPs can provide us very cheap prices compared to we are owning that ourselves, right? So yeah, security is a very key concern there. And then internet you have to pay because that is an extra charge because when you do, yes.
we have to always depends with the IT people.
You
When
have,
you are using cloud. You have to depends with the IT people more.
yeah, they have to depend with IT people more. Okay. But then if you had all the computers in, let's say you have now, I'll make it a little bit, 200 staff was there, right? So all the VMs you are buying now from a CSP, but if you had 200 computers, you know, like troubleshooting and this is not working, you know, that then you have to have IT team. Now you can reduce that because you don't need, because all this just you are given tab, right? So you can see like you had a 20 staff members, you can reduce that to 5 probably. So then again, cost-wise you are reducing, as well as that staff-wise, IT staff-wise you are reducing. So that is, again, you can see in a different way.
Okay. Got it.
Downtime due to technical issues?
Yes, very good. That's a good point. Like if there is a downtime or like, that is again related to internet. Like now, I think we are also being at work from home. You might have also experienced even our phone calls, like even Dialog or Mobitel, it doesn't matter who the service provider, like calls get cut while we are speaking and the signal strength is not that because everyone is using, and even bandwidth is same, right? So you can see, yes, with that scenario, yes, if there's a internet was down like this, you have to do this document today because it's on the server, right? You don't have anything. Let's assume like even O365, you can have a offline mode, sort of like you can have your own thing. But however, real thing happens, let's say with that, the server, and then only you can email it. Now you can't access because internet is not there. Even power is not there in Sri Lankan context, right? So then we are just basically stranded. Yes. So yeah, here internet, and then yeah, power is also can be another factor here, because without power we can't get connectivity. Of course, someone can again argue with me. So like even having computer at home also, if you don't have power, you can't do that. That's true, right? So
without the internet slowness, there can be incidents where cloud also having an experience of downtime.
Yes, that's a cloud downtime. That's a good thing. Yes, number 7. Yeah, probably you might have mentioned about that. So this is cloud downtime. That is generally this is not a acceptable thing, right? Even I think if there is any SLT or Dialog guys here, can you all tell me your downtime? So they will, I think, give 99.999, I guess, right? Downtime, like not downtime, uptime, right? So you can see, but if you can, there's no point. It's okay. Like if you all know, SLT or Dialog can share that, right? So that's a very minimal, right? So that, but yes, as a point, I will take it, right? But however, don't take it so seriously. That's what I put here stars when we were talking about. So the internet issue and security can be. Yeah, if someone is telling something, or high data consumption, yes, with the internet, and because everything now you are communicating up and down, right, with that device, connecting device. So there can be up and down time, yes, internet. Coming back to this, this is the most debatable, discussed issue, right? And the first thing, that is security. Now, security, I would say, so let's, I hope this is all right. I think I will just go back and get another one because it's cluttered there. Security. Now, even I would say business point of view, you don't have to worry too much about your cloud service provider about security, because they will give you a service level agreement and you can sign a contract with them. And this is your VM, right? So they will guarantee, right? And then they will look after your VM as well. So that's why, like now, if you had your data center now, this is your office, right? This is your office environment. This is a cloud environment. So this is your computer center sort of, right? So then you have to not only put your servers here, right? But you have to put firewalls, right? And then other protection, have staff, right? and then air conditioning and power, all these things you have to look, right? But when you offload that to the cloud, you can see a lot of headache is being, so you have to look at the total thing package here, right? Just not like having half servers here, putting half servers there, just you are not making anywhere, right? That's why like your decisions has to be, right? So, okay, we are going to remove our computer center or the we call network operating center just onto cloud, right? With all our servers, we are going to be there because you have to purchase all this hardware, right? You have to have a warranty, right? If something they get damaged, you have to look into that. But when you buy that, the CSP will be looking after security and everything, and they are giving you a SLA, right? And then there's an agreement between the CSP and you, right? So then you might be okay to do business, right? They are saying, so some people say that, okay, sir, this guy, whoever here, can they get our data from, can they steal our data, right? Or get it this way, right? Yeah, technically speaking, anything is possible, right? With computers, because these are devices. But that's where like this agreement given, like, so then if this is taken, so you can take legal action, right? And then you can sue them or the company or the CSP, whatever, right? So because of that, I won't say there's a huge threat for you all to be the security as well, right? Now, if you are so concerned on that, that's where like, so these are all I call public cloud, right? So then you can have your own cloud. That is what we call the private cloud. You invest, and this is in your organization now, right? So then you have your cloud, and then you do everything on cloud, because then your whole, let's say, Mars or Hades, right? Or Sri Lanka Customs, right? Or whatever, right? So they can have their own cloud, and then they can do it because they are more concerned about security, right? And they believe that that will, so that security you can rectify in that way, or else with this service level agreements that you can do. But I think, let's say Sri Lanka Army going to have all the operations on a cloud, right? So then I would say like that's not a good decision, right? Because that's, you should have your own private cloud, because more national security, everything is there, right? Not from business point of view, right? Because from business point of view, I think you should be all right, unless you are big corporate and you can handle yourself, and then you can have your own cloud, because that you can take advantage. There are people who are having their own cloud. Okay. So that's how like my explanation towards security, right? Security is also not a big threat, but I'm not saying it's like nothing will happen. No, anything can happen, right? That is, there's a possibility, right? But you can take a call like, and with a good agreement. That's why like sometimes now there are CSPs, overseas CSPs and local, right? So sometimes you go with a local CSP is much better, because you are in the same legal grounds, so that if taken some action, if not, let's say this is US service provider hosted in Russia, right? Or part of in China, right? So we don't know, let's assume, right? So then, so there's going to be huge cases, because the data will be some other, so that breaches has happened while they were in overseas. So that those kind of things can happen, right? So because of that, you can take decisions. That's where like I showed you local ISPs now become CSPs as well. So that's also another thing to look into. Any questions on this I would like to take? Okay, then I'll move there, and then yeah. So then okay, yeah, there was like, so I discussed private and the public, and then the hybrid is mix of these two, right? I go to the next slide. So hybrid is like you can have your private You can have your private thing, and then this is your own private, right? Cloud. Very safe. Kind of someone can say, is that intranet kind of this intranet? But they might have decided, okay, for email service, let's go for Gmail. So they can have a pipe here, that's what we call a virtual private network, VPN, and then connect to Google and then get their mails on that, so that they are quite safe as well. No one can just come in through that because it's internet, and then through a VPN and with firewalls, you can protect and go up and have some services. So some people today, I know they are using even private network, private cloud that they are using for mail, Gmail, they are for Office package or 365, right? So those they are connecting, but the rest of the things, they will be having their own, right? That is what we call a hybrid cloud. So private, public together working, right? Then there's another one, community cloud. I'll come there. Just give me 1 minute. First, these slides are here. What a public cloud, right? And it is like you can, CSPs are there, right? It's like offsite over the internet, shared resources. Those clouds, it's pretty cheap. Like you can get a lot of advantage, especially if you are a startup. I would recommend start all your hardware and everything, IaaS, or like you can go PaaS or even SaaS, right? Straight away, because then you don't have to do anything, just get the everything on the cloud, right? So public clouds, obvious chosen when, so you can read. So private clouds you can maintain, of course, you can get great level of security and control, but of course it's expensive. So you have to have your own, and then you have to get software licenses, everything, right? That's not as cheap what you expect. So hybrid cloud, as I told you, like you can get public and private certain things, right? Through a VPN, you can connect. Now, yeah, I will come, sorry, before coming to the explanation, so then we can finish. This community cloud is quite different. It's something like this. I think, to my knowledge as well, I think some of people here can be bankers. To my knowledge, I think the banks, it's a bank one, you can have your private cloud, right? Just tell me if I'm wrong. Private cloud, but according to Central Bank of Sri Lanka, they don't allow you to connect to any public, right, cloud, right? So this is like you can have other bank too, they also can have their private, right, cloud. That is no problem. So today, like if you look at it, the check clearance, what is happening here is there is a company called Lanka Clear. So actually it's a company under Central Bank, so there's no problem. And then they give sort of kind of a cloud sort of environment, right? So all the banks to do the check clearance, so they will be sharing and doing that, right? So this is like, we can say a community cloud. Or like we have Lanka Government Cloud under ICT agency, right? So a lot of government organizations and some private as well, because if anyone has renewed your revenue license from that srilanka.gov.lk, so that RMV is connected to that, not Lanka Clear now, right? That is LGC, and that is emission test companies as well as insurance companies, all are connected. That's how like we can get it, right? They are all interconnected, their databases, everything, right? So that is in a separate a cloud environment, right? LGC. For example, I think we had some time back this, you might have heard, it's called School SC. SchoolNet, where like all the schools were those days were interconnected, and then internet and other services were given, right? So I don't think now it is very functional, right? But again, because of now a lot of people are doing study from home, right? So now even Ministry of Education can have their own, or they can subcontract to Sri Lankan ISPs or SLT or Dialog, or go to them, right? Run a community cloud, and then all the school content, and then this way, like we have eTaksalawa, and then you can give even LMS accounts for each school for them to manage, and then teacher management, student management, or like MOE can monitor from here each student, each district, what's going on, like, because like all can be automated and give a solution, right? So then that will be a community cloud. Right? So that is what a community cloud is. So if I read that, this is the small definition of that. A community cloud in computing is a collaborative effort which infrastructure is shared between several organizations from a specific community, like either banks or like corporate, like government sector or schools, whatever, with common concerns about like security, compliance, and then jurisdiction or anything else, right? And manage internally, like their own, like Lanka Clear is doing, or like by a third party, where you can get one of the ISPs or CSPs to do that, right? So that's all about cloud. And then finally, we have come to the end of the first set of notes. But if you have any questions, I can take about another 2 minutes. We will start the other topic as well. And then if you have any questions, you can ask. I will change the slides. Yes, any questions? Okay. But I hope you think you have understood the cloud as well, how cloud operates and what sort of cloud models you can get, right? And there are lots of advantages. Read more and more, right? You can see. Okay, so let's move to another topic, which is I have named it as computer software, right? So here my target is to talk about the importance of software, and then finally take you all another discussion with open source software as well. But before coming that, let's try to look into software. Now, this is with time, this graph, like sort of x-axis. So this is like old days, this is like as of today, right? If you look at the price of the hardware, anything, just think of a hard disk space, right? Just look 1 TB price, okay. 1 TB price, 1 terabyte price in 2000, 2010, 2020, and then 2021, right? Is always going down because now the capacity is bigger, right? And then if we take per megabyte or terabyte, right? The cost, even CPU, right? So CPU price with the performance, like the speed at which the CPU can work, right? And the price is also going down. So hardware, in a way, it's the prices are going down, but then software is not the way, other way around, because software prices are always going up, right? Because it takes more time to create more features and all these things because of. So then when you are making decisions now, you have to be very careful with software, right? And hardware, of course, you have to, right? But software, much more. Like we are going to talk about software here, right? And so Now, if we take an information system or computer as such, right? So I will just draw a typical computer, what you have heard about or you are using. So when you give an input to this computer, it will do some processing and it will give you an output. This is what a typical computer. And to do the processing, it uses its memory, or RAM, right? And of course, it will use its secondary memory and hard disk, secondary memory. This is hard disk drive. This is the RAM, right? And this is where the CPU is, and all these things work together, right? Now, if I ask, like, when we talk about software, where are the software's role? Actually, software, most people think it's software here because processing part. No, to operate here, to input, to output. So everything we need software, right? That's where, like I said, when we are talking about cloud as well, we have hardware, and then we had one sort of software called operating system, and then I said another software called application software, like that, right? So software is required not only to do the main calculation and do the payroll of your system, but to input that, to display that, to save that, right, to read that from the other floppy drive or from the USB drive, right? So all these things we need software. So the software is needed for input, processing, output, storage, you name it, everything. Right? So then software can be categorized. Okay, probably this slide might be different than what you all have. That's okay, same content, but I have changed a bit, right? There were some mistakes also in that particular diagram. So that's what I have. I have to redo that because I just use an image from internet, but then some people also showed me some errors there. So any software, right? Okay, I should change the colors now. Any software here, right? First, we can break into two parts: system software, application software. This is, as you know, application software. System software has, okay, this is what we earlier discussed, operating system. This is like your Windows, right? Windows 10. Then there are some utility programs which comes with the system software. There are device drivers which comes with the software, right? There are so many other things also. I didn't put it like because the slide is get a bit cluttered, right? So, but these are the main ones, right? So device drivers, utility programs, and especially this is the key thing, right? Operating system. Now, application software, in your slide you have two things, but I have made it three, right? These are general purpose, just like any simple general purpose software can be application software, like your Office, Windows, right? Or like Adobe Acrobat Reader. Acrobat Reader, right? Those things. So then what are the specialist things? So these can be like some Photoshop, right? Or like for mathematical computing, MATLAB. Right? So there can be a lot of other tools, like a specialist one. These are not like general purpose. Then finally, you can have tailor-made. These are your ERP solution, your payroll system, right? Your attendance system, whatever. These are things tailor-made for you, right? So these are all going to be application software. This is where you might be there and trying to use them, right, to do certain tasks. But then this system software is for what? This is for that hardware to operate, right? This is system software is for this, right? Application software is for you, right? That's where like software has two components. Okay, so try to understand that. And the same thing, right? So operating system software is operating system, utilities. These slides are okay, same, right? Utility programs, device drivers, language translators, like that. There are so many things can come in, right? But application software, general purpose, specialist, and tailor-made. Now, operating system always looks after the hardware, right? So this is to look after your hardware. And utility programs, like sometimes you have some small programs. Anyone has used something called disk fragmentation, defragmentation? Yes, no? So disk defragmentation is like just to clean up your, like not to clean up really, arrange your hard disk space in a much better way. So not bad to run that utility program every 3 months or 6 months, so that your hard disk will be organized, but make sure that it will take a little bit time to do the processing, right? And there is another one called disk formatting, right? Don't try to use that utility program without knowing, because even you can erase all the data in your hard disk, because if you don't know how to use that tool, and if you accidentally format the C drive, that's basically you will lose all your data, right? All your operating system, everything. So but this fragmentation, defragmentation is not a bad. And who can tell me what are device drivers? What is a device driver? Yeah, who can tell me?
Printer drivers.
Yeah,
Printer
very
scanner.
good, very good. Yeah. So device drivers are also, it's part of our operating system. Now let's assume like this. So you have your new computer you purchase, let's say 2020 October, you purchased this, right? And then with that, the OS also you got it, right? So Windows 10, whatever. Now you are here. So now 2021 May, you purchase a new printer. This is a new printer. You are trying to connect to this, but then this operating system should understand this hardware. Then only it can send print jobs to this. But this is a very new one, right? So this operating system might not have the code for it to operate this new printer, because it's the latest one. So then that's why, like with this printer, it comes with device drivers. Those days it comes with a CD, right? Nowadays, like we can get it through the internet, because we call plug and play as well. Whenever you connect them, it just, the Windows knows how to go and search that, because this provides some information to the Windows system. Windows system will go and the slide of down, we know URLs, right? It will take you to a proper URL, because the device knows how to do that to the operating system and brings that the device driver, right? So device drivers is also part of the operating system, because the operating system is there to control your hardware. But since it was a new thing, that part of that operating system has to be taken from somewhere, right? So that is what device drivers are. I can say it's part of OS, but that's example, new printer, new scanner, or any hardware, right? You can. That's why, like even new USB, if you have very latest USB, when you plug it in, that's why like it takes a little bit more time to detect that and usable, because it will connect to the internet, and if the drivers are not there, it will download the drivers and install, and automatically now it says now it's ready to use, right? But once it does it, then you can keep on using, because then the drivers are there. That is the part of the operating system is there. I will not go through here, like this is like what operating system will be doing. So you all know that given the hardware, right, it will take, like when you press the power on button here, right? So it will take some time, initialize everything, and finally you get your command prompt, right? And then the cursor says that, okay, now ready to use, right? So then until that, the operating system is loading to your computer, and then because it has to manage the user interface, file management, task management, your databases, everything will be done. Because thereafter, then you have an icon here called MS Office. When you double click on, still operating system is running, right? Operating system is doing the control for you. So then that MS Office will be starting. Thereafter only you are really running with the application software. That is MS Office, or like Acrobat Reader. or you just name it anything, right? So application software always runs on top of the operating system. So this way, like next, like here, some examples of operating systems. Windows, you know, Windows, right? XP, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, whatever, right? And the Linux is operating system. Android, you are using your phones, it's operating system. DOS is a very elementary, right? This operating system. So these operating systems, whatever works with the hardware, right? So you are, as a user, will be always communicate with the application software. And this is a summary what I have explained. So device drivers also we discussed about, right? This one. Language translators, I will talk about that later, right? This is the only thing. The other things you can understand. This I will come there later. So these are some of the things you should be remembering, like when you purchase, when you're about to purchase a new application software, what main characteristics you will be looking. You can put a lot of other things as well here. User friendliness, easy to use, and minimum training time. Of course, the cost as well, right? So those things are part of things that you will be looking up. These are some examples of different types: MS Word, business application, and then some things that are designed for your company itself, which I have explained earlier. Okay, this is just a pictorial thing that we have discussed so far. This is the hardware. This hardware, to operate always, we need the OS here, right? So without OS, we can't do that. So then this is you. Users always communicate with application. Application has to come through the OS, then only it can talk. There's no path here. This is no, right? That you can't straight away from the application layer can talk to the hardware. It has to always come through the operating system. But users can come without an application software to a GUI. That's what, like, you know how to copy a file, how to delete a file, right? How to create a new folder and move files, right? Because all these things you don't use any application software. You come to the graphical user interface and do. So shell here is, I think some of you all might know how to use the DOS prompt. Now we call command prompt as well. Command prompt, and then if you know how to execute, that is what we call shell, right? So in that case, yes, there is a path from here to go there, right? But there is no path. If I better to clear this, there's no path from this way to go, right? But there is a path from here to go this way. Okay. So now that means there's no, right? This is okay, right? You have always has to go through this path. So then operating system is a must. Without operating system, a computer can't exist, right? So OS is a must, right? So this is one of the example of question I have given, like not like this asked. I said, like, you have purchased a new hardware, right? Okay, new computer. And you have purchased Windows, I think I said the MS Office, right? Not Windows, MS Office package as well. You have purchased that. Will you be able to use this computer with MS Office, like write letters? The answer is no, because without an operating system, you will never be able to get any application software usage, right? That is the answer. So there has to be an operating system, right? So there I said, like, assume there is nothing. You have just purchased a hardware only, right? And that's where I didn't mention that operating system is coming with it, right? Because you can buy it, right? But in that scenario, I said, you have just purchased only hardware, right? And you have an IT guy as well. I just said, just to give some idea, but the IT guy having that, IT guy can't write an operating system. You have to purchase that, right? Because you are not supposed to use any pirated or other people's software, right? And then just you have purchased Office, but still you have to purchase an operating system, or you have to get an operating system. There are two things, right? You can purchase an operating system that you have to pay and get it, or you have to get There are free tools available. I'll talk about that probably not today. OSS. So there are free OSS. Then you can get those free OSS, but then some of the free OSSs will not support MS Office to run. So then you have to purchase in that case. So MS Office case, you have to purchase, but there are certain application software, like for example, Acrobat Reader, if I say the same story, Acrobat Reader, then you don't need always to purchase an operating system to run Acrobat. Let's say your main task is to run an Acrobat Reader on this computer. So then you can get a free operating system and then run Acrobat Reader. That's a good question to ask this year probably, because then last time when I asked, I said about MS Office, because then, MS Office, there is a bit of a issue that MS Office works only on MS Windows, right? That issue is there. Okay, I said I will talk about programming languages. Now, the computer can understand only ones and zeros, right? So then as humans, yes, we can say do this, do that, right? Whatever instructions can be given. So we can use languages like we call programming languages. But then you can't basically put a programming language straight away to this, right? That has to be converted. I'll come here. So those days we had some like assembly kind of languages we call machine languages. Just very hard to write programs because we had to use a computer, because computer language is this binary, right? So then we can't do so. But now what we are doing is this Java, VB, we call fourth generation languages. So then once we write these things, we have to convert them or translate them into this language, right? That is binary language. So those programs are called a compiler. So compiler is a program that converts a high-level language into a machine language, right? Also, you can say a binary language as well, right? You can say binary language as well. So this is what the slide, right? So you can say a program that converts instructions, or that is what we call source code, right? This is a program. Just write it down here. This is a program written. This is your payroll program, right? So payroll program. So that's written by me, right? And then that's I have used the language called Java, right? And then I need to use a Java compiler, not any compiler, Java compiler, and convert into binary. That binary we call object code. Object code means like this, right? So then it will run on this hardware. So it's something like this. Yeah, in this slide, you are not supposed to know what is this in this slide. Definitely you know, even including myself, I don't know what is this, right? But just this is an example. So this is not for exam questions, whatever. So this is just, you can understand total 0, cases 0, something is going on, right? So, and it says display, that is the end, right? So something you know. But can you say anything here? No. But this is what the hardware can understand. So this is what the compiler is trying to do. So this can be, this is not a really Java program. For you all, that will be all right. So think this is a Java program, right? I will not test those things from you all, right? But Java program is human readable, understandable language. This is object code is machine understandable language. I think I will, it's 9:30, so I will probably stop. I am also a bit tired now. I will start from this, like now just a basic introduction, what a software is, right? So that is what we discussed. Software, we have system software, and then we have application software, right? And then we discuss about operating system. These are like language, programming languages. That is what we are talking here. And then here there are 3 types of, I discussed general purpose, specialist, and tailor-made, right? So now whatever, any software, when you are going to purchase or acquire that, rather than say purchase, acquire, right? So how you can acquire, right? And then what you have to worry about. And then finally, we are going to talk about software licenses as well. Because software licenses are very important to understand. And because software privacy, pirated software, like so pirated software is not allowed to use, right? And then we'll talk about that as well. And finally, I will finish off with free and open source software. And there how you can take some advantage, as well as from business point of view, like what advantage you all can do. And also like if you are a startup company, what advantage you can take. Because I told you that the price of the hardware is going down, but the software is going up. Because of that, you have to be very careful of choosing things. Right? So then I will continue from here next week. But if you have any questions, you can ask now, but I can take a few questions. Do you have any questions, or can we wind up now? Okay, if you don't have any questions, I will stop recording here and then